Hello viewers, I wanted to make a short video on this device. It's part of my Quantel random bits collection. I'm intending on turning this into something else, so I thought I'd document what this actually is. There's not many of these about, and basically if I don't make a video documenting this sort of stuff from Quantel, then nobody else will. This dates from the mid-1990s and sort of 95, 96, sometime like that. It is called a QIFDC, and what it does is allows an operator to transfer an EDL, which is an edit decision list, from an Avid system, which is where you might typically edit a video program, and then transfers those edits, the EDL, to a Quantel Henry. You would do this typically because I believe it was actually a bit easier for people to edit on an Avid system, but the Quantel was far better at doing effects and stuff. So you'd want to do your editing on one system, transfer all those edits to the Quantel, and then apply your special effects. At least that's how I understand it works. So this device allowed you to do that because the actual Quantel Henry didn't have a floppy drive. So this was created as a means to take floppy drives from the Avid, put them into here and transfer them into the Quantel. So we've got a nice compact but pretty well built metal enclosure with a PC 1.44 megabyte drive, a status light. It's all really basic stuff. There's an asset tag on the side here, Soho Group. So I guess they were based in Soho and probably did production stuff. On the back, not a lot. We've got the mains input, power switch, RS232 output to the Quantel. So the Quantel talked to this box over an RS232 link, and the EDLs were transferred as well. We have an old AT style keyboard connection and a regular VGA port. Oh, there's also a reset switch there as well. So with VGA and AT style keyboard connector and RS232, I think we pretty much know what might be inside this. It's a PC. But how on earth do you get a PC into a box that big? Well, so if we have a quick look around, we have a power supply over here. We've got a cooling fan, the mains input with a filter on it. We've got the floppy drive connection running over to two boards over here. Now, some of you might recognise what this actually is. For those that don't, this is a PC104 embedded PC. So this is how you manage to fit an entire PC into a box of this size. So PC104 is quite an old standard actually. It's been around for quite a long time. It's basically an extremely compact, completely 100% IBM compatible PC. So you can run DOS, Windows, whatever you like on these little boards. Now of course they come in all sorts of different flavours with different processors on, but they generally follow the processors of the time. So back in the day, back in the 90s, you probably would have seen 386 and 486 versions of this. And as time went on, you would have seen Pentium and probably Celeron versions as time went on. So it's a very, very popular way to embed a PC into something else. So if we get to you a little bit of a closer look, on the top here, we have a plug-in card. This is a very common interface. It's universal between any PC104 system, and this is effectively the old ISA bus. So these might be arranged in a big stack. You can connect more and more cards on this, but generally you normally only see them with the single base and maybe one board on top. Everything's got so integrated nowadays, you don't really need a big stack of interface boards anyway nowadays. So this card is an IO card. It has the floppy drive controller, IDE controller, VGA, and the serial ports, or at least additional serial ports anyway, maybe. And now we can see the main board. We can actually see the CPU. Over here we have an Intel 386. This is actually the SX25 version. So we have all the normal stuff on here. We've got two 30-pin SIMs, we've got the BIOS chip. Now, in addition to the normal stuff that you find on PC, you will also find on these boards some form of flash RAM, which can be usually configured in a number of different ways. Usually it's either memory mapped, so the flash RAM, or flash ROM I should say, is mapped into the PC memory, or it's mapped to a virtual floppy drive or hard disk potentially. So you can actually burn your software into the flash which is on the board, which means you don't need to have any permanent storage in with the rest of the system. So as you can see here, there doesn't appear to be any permanent storage, but there's a flash ROM on here which stores it. So what I'm going to do now is just connect this back up together. I'll plug it in, turn it on, and I'll show you what it does when it powers up. We can see a completely normal BIOS, and it will boot and run into the QIFDC Link program, and that is all it does. There is no keyboard input, there is nothing to do here. The only thing you can do is press escape and it quits out to DOS. So what Quantel have done here is configured that flash ROM to be a virtual floppy drive, because you can see here that we're in A drive, so you can see there we've got all the startup stuff, but we also have a C drive. Now what they've done is also, oops, now what they've done is actually created a boot floppy which also has a RAM drive on it as well. So what's actually happening here is the machine turns on, it boots from the virtual floppy drive, it then creates a RAM drive that is C, and then it copies a loads of files onto it and then runs the actual program. So it looks a bit confusing, but it's not really. Now one thought I've had for a while is I've been quite interested to build myself an old Unix system, probably based around Unix System V or SCO Unix, something like that. And this might actually be a good candidate for it. It's only a 386, but I'm not looking for anything that's powerful. I just want to run the old Unix stuff that I used to do back in the very early 90s. And this might be a really good candidate because it's a nice compact box, doesn't take up a lot of space. I could potentially add in an IDE compact flash card as the hard disk. It won't take up any extra space really. Might need to switch out the RAM. 2 meg is probably not really enough. I might need to switch to the next size up is 8 megabytes, so I'll probably switch up to that, but that's only 2 4 meg SIMs, so that's probably not too hard to get hold of. But the biggest issue is I need to reconfigure that flash RAM to stop it being a virtual floppy drive, because I will want this to be drive A. I will probably also need to install a battery onto this because there is no real-time clock battery on it, so every time you turn it off, the date and everything gets reset back to default. So that is pretty much it. As I said, I wanted to keep this one short because you might be seeing this again in a future video if I make any progress on turning this into a Unix system. So thank you very much to all of my patrons, my supporters, and everybody who watches and hits the like button. Thank you very much. If you want to see more like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Okay, I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.